Lesson 5, Configuring Disk Storage. This is Lesson 5 of Lesson 9. In our lesson's topics and objectives, we will take a look at NetBackup disk storage types. We will compare basic disk with advanced disk with deduplication disk pools. We will also take a look at configuring basic NetBackup disk storage, creating basic disk storage units, and also showing you the benefits of doing disk staging storage units, commonly referred to as DSSU. We will configure an advanced disk and using advanced disk pools, storage servers, and advanced disk storage units. Then we will verify disk storage. NetBackup disk storage types. Some disk storage terminologies. In here you can see the disk storage enclosure. Inside the closure you'll have disk volumes. Of the disk volumes, we can group them into what we call disk pools. Those are considered logical groupings. To be able to use some of the advanced disk, you must create a storage server. This is a logical entity versus what we've learned in the past are media servers. The media servers would be considered physical storage. Here are disk storage types. We have basic disk, we have advanced disk. We have open storage, which is commonly referred to as OST. That would be appliance, much like our pure disk appliance. We have media server deduplication pool, also referred to as MSDP. We have pure disk deduplication option, which is referred to as PDDO. Here is a table listing all of our different disk backup methods. Please take a moment to review this slide. Configuring a basic disk storage unit. Here we have our admin console, adding a basic disk storage unit. Underneath the NetBackup management tree view, let's select storage. We'll choose the first option, storage units. We'll right click and select new storage unit. This brings us to our new storage unit dialog box. In the top portion, you can enter in a name. This is an arbitrary name for your disk storage. Underneath that is the storage unit type. The default is Media Manager. You can click on the drop down and you can see all the different types that are available. We can choose disk. By default, when you choose disk, the on-demand only checkbox is automatically selected. Under the disk types, we can see here we've got basic disk, near store, and snap vault. We do need to choose a path on where this basic disk storage unit is going to get sent to. We'll click the Browse button. By selecting the Browse button, we'll automatically browse the media server associated with this disk storage unit. In here, we're choosing H for the basic disk DSU. There's multiple other considerations that you can select in this window. We'll click OK. One of the other options we have available to us is our basic disk staging, again known as a DSSU. First you have your source client, then you have the temporary storage location, and then you have your final resting spot. What ends up happening when you send backup jobs to a DSSU is on stage 1, the data is taken from the client and dumped into the temporary storage location. Then on phase 2, when the data is then copied over to the final destination. In this particular image it's showing you as tape. It's typically tape, however it could be yet another disk storage unit. When the high watermark is reached on the staging location, that's when the third stage kicks in. We will start deleting any of the files that have already been duplicated to the final destination. Rest assured, none of the files that have not been duplicated will not be deleted. Let's show you how to configure your DSSU. Back on our new storage unit screen, we would set up a basic disk storage unit much like you normally would. Down towards the bottom, you need to choose the checkbox for Enable Temporary Staging Area. By selecting this checkbox, the Staging Schedule button appears. Let's click on the Staging Schedule button. This brings up the disk staging schedule. This is what we consider phase 2 or stage 2 of the copy. Here you notice the name. You do not get to name your schedule at this point. It's automatically reflecting on the name of your disk staging storage unit. You can choose the priority of this job to run amongst other jobs that are running in NetBackup. On the right-hand side of the screen, you can see the destination. This is where you get to pick your final resting spot. So on here, the default again is any available. You will probably want to choose tape type storage unit that's created and then choose the volume pool that will be used for that destination. You can choose the media server that would be involved in that. If it doesn't matter which media server, you can leave that at any. We'll click OK. Here we have configuring advanced disk. So some of the advantages of using our disk pooling resources is the ease of management. You can actually select multiple different volumes to be put in a pool to write to all of those specific volumes. In the difference between basic disk can only get sent to one volume. Advanced disk, you'll pull all these disks together and utilize them as one entity. It's definitely more robust feature in that you can use your storage unit group load balancing. It's also part of the storage lifecycle policies and to take advantage of the spanning disk volumes. As far as scalability is concerned, you can actually add disk space in the back end on your filer, or you can actually add extra volumes to your disk pool. We'll take a look at that in a later lesson. So advanced disk pools, how can we create this? We're back to the slide that shows us a disk enclosure. In this disk enclosure, we have 3 volumes. The first set of 2 volumes we're going to clump together in this logical entity called disk pool A. This is what we would consider also an advanced disk. We have to label those 2 volumes as a storage unit in order for NetBackup to take advantage of that. We'll call the 2 volumes in disk pool A associated with the advanced disk storage unit A. Next area, as long as the media server or storage server can see it, we'll use the 3rd volume in our disk enclosure with one of the internal disks on that media server. Again, we're logically pooling those together to consider that the disk pool B. We will also need to add a storage unit around that, and we'll call it advanced disk storage unit B. This slide just shows you the advanced disk configuration overview. So on here you can see, we'll take a look at the steps. Step number 1, determining whether an advanced disk storage server is already configured. Step 2, if you don't have one configured for that media server, you will need to add one. Once you have a storage server set up in NetBackup, then you can go ahead and step 3, create new disk pool. Step 4 will configure one or more storage units around that disk pool. Let's take a look at the first step. On here, we'll highlight again the master server in the tree view pane. In the results section, we'll take a look at configuring disk storage servers. We'll select this. You are presented with the welcome screen for the storage server configuration wizard. We'll select next. You get the add storage server. Which type of storage would you like to do for the storage server? We need to select advanced disk. We'll click next. Next, you get to add the storage server. At the bottom of the screen, you can see the media server drop-down list. This is where you choose the media server that you would like to set up to have the storage server alias selected for it. We'll click next. You have storage server configuration summary. This basically shows you what you've selected in the last couple of screens. If you're happy with your results, select next. The screen on the left shows you your storage server creation status. There's a checkbox in here letting you know that it's complete. You can select next. At this given juncture, you are now finished creating a storage server for that specific media server. One of the easier things to do at this point is to move on to the disk pool configuration, which you can do so by clicking on next. If you'd like to do it manually, you can choose the close button. We'll choose next. This is our creating a disk pool wizard. This will be one of 5. Here's your welcome screen, and we'll select next. The first screen on the left shows your disk pool. Since we just created a storage server with the advanced disk option, we're going to select advanced disk. We'll select next. On the next screen, we can see the different storage servers that are available. If the storage servers are not there, that would indicate that the storage server has not been created in NetBackup for the media server that you want to utilize. If it is, you'll select that media server. We'll select the checkbox for Win Master. Select Next. The next wizard screen shows you to select volumes. In here, you'll choose which volumes are associated with that media server. In this particular instance, we'll choose I and J. It does give you the total capacity as well. We'll select Next. You do need to create a name for this disk pool. So you'll select in and enter in a name for the disk pool. You can enter in comments, and in here you can use the high and low watermarks. We'll select Next. Which we get the summary screen. Over the last few wizard screenshots we were able to choose. Here's your summary screen of those options. If you are satisfied with the results, you can select Next. If you're not, you can select Back. By selecting Next, we'll go into the disk pool configuration. You'll finally see that you get a checkbox when the disk pool configuration has been complete. At this point, you can select Next. Get you to the storage unit. Once again, NetBackup has to have a storage unit created for every physical device. So on the storage unit creation, you can enter in the name for the storage unit for your disk pool. In this case, we put advanced disk 1 underscore STU underscore Win Master. Then you choose the media server. Typically, there'll be one media server associated with that disk pool. We select use only the selected media servers and choose the Win Master for this. You can set up maximum concurrent jobs and max fragment size. We'll select Next. Then you're presented with the Finish screen. You can select Finish. Verifying disk storage. Now that you've created your storage server, your disk pools, and your disk storage unit, let's take a look. In the Tree View pane, underneath the Credentials section, down towards the bottom, you will see storage servers. Highlight storage server, and your storage server that you've created in your NetBackup environment will appear. You can see the name, the server type. In this case, we both have advanced disk, the media servers that are associated with this, and if it's configured for snapshots. Next, we'll take a look at verifying the disk pools. Again, in the Tree View pane, we are underneath Media and Device Management, under Devices, under Disk Pools. If you highlight Disk Pools, the results section of this will show you all the information regarding the disk pools. It looks like we have 3 disk pools created for this NetBackup environment. Viewing your disk pool status. You can also monitor your disk pools by selecting the Media and Device Management Device Monitor. At the bottom of the screen, if you notice, there's 2 tabs, the Drives tab and the Disk Pool tab. Make sure you select the Disk Pool tab. The Disk Pool tab will allow you to see how your disk pools are doing. If you notice here, we have 3 disk pools. They're of advanced disk type, and the disk pools are in the up status. This allows you to monitor whether or not these disk pools can be written to or if they're down. Verifying the advanced disk storage unit. Once again, you need to have storage units associated with your disk pools. So underneath the NetBackup Management, you'll select Storage and Storage Units. If you can see, there's multiple different storage units that have been selected here. We can select the advanced disk 1 underscore STU underscore Win Master. We can see this has been configured for disk. In our lesson summary, we learned about the different types of disk-based storage and how it is used. We described what basic disk is, advanced disk, a little bit of deduplication pools, and also the disk staging storage units. We now showed you how to configure a basic disk storage unit, how to create storage servers, advanced disk pools, and advanced disk storage units. Also, as well as to show you how to monitor your status of your disks and your disk pools.